Arizona Cardinals cast has returned. It is 9/19/2022. I know I was not with you for week one. We don't really want to talk about week one anyways. That was a very ugly football game. The defense was... Kyler Murray looked more skittish than a little kitty cat. It was not good. But anyways, last week, I was very busy with work. I should be back every day, 4 days a week, throughout the fall, starting this week. I appreciate your support. Anyways, we're just going to talk about a couple subjects. Let's talk about, there was a football game yesterday. I believe the Cardinals won 29-23 in overtime. Just in case if you didn't know, the Cardinals were down 20-0 at the half. It was the largest halftime deficit the Cardinals have ever came back from in their team history. It was the largest blown lead in the Raiders, the Oakland/Los Angeles/Oakland/Las Vegas Raiders history, And it was also, as I said, the largest halftime deficit comeback for the Chicago/St. Louis/Phoenix/Arizona Cardinals. Anyways, now since we've gone through all that, let's talk about how the Cardinals won. What were the three keys to victory? Number one was Kyler Murray, who ran around for about an hour and 45 minutes on a 2-point conversion to make the score 23-15. He was just transcendent in the second half. That was what I said they needed to be to beat the Chiefs in week one. That's what he needed to do to beat the Raiders in week two. Kyler Murray was the best player on the football field on Sunday. At least he was in the last, 36 minutes of the game. 36. So 30 plus 6 is 36, right? I'm trying to do my math. Okay, yeah. But just incredible. Running to the left, running to the right. Obviously got bailed out with a holding penalty on a 4th and 4, which extended the drive. AJ Green, might as well put me at wide receiver in number 18 jersey because, shoot, at least I could catch the ball. But you know what? He totally redeemed himself on the 2-point conversion, making a sensational catch in the back of the end zone. And also let you know, I live in Las Vegas. Yes, I was at the game, and it was incredible. So to tell you a little story about the defensive adjustments, that goes to kind of number two. In the first half, the Cardinals gave up over 200 yards of offense. In the second half, in overtime, the Cardinals only gave up 122 yards of offense. The grand total give up 300. The respectable is 330 yards to the Raiders. Very respectable total. That's actually an above average effort by the defense. Yards per play was not bad either. The Cardinals defense played a heck of a game in the second half, and really, if you didn't have a Marco Wilson 50-yard pass interference penalty, the Cardinals could have pitched a shutout in the second half, and overtime, that's how fantastic they played. They make big plays. Marco Wilson played well again. Byron Murphy, man, can't just say how great of a job he did. Devontae Adams, 2 catches for 12 yards. Waller, 6 for 50. Renfrow had, I believe it was 8 catches, but we're going to get to Hunter Renfrow in a minute. But the Cardinals' defense played sensational in the second half. Really, to come back from a 20-point deficit, you need a defense to make stops, and the Cardinals made several stops in the second half. And obviously, in overtime, Isaiah Simmons only played 15 snaps, but made the biggest play of the game, knocking the ball out of, Hunter Renfrow's hands after he broke a tackle of Jace Whitaker. Probably should have went down, but he was trying to fight for extra yards. The Raiders were in the long 57-yard field goal for Daniel Carlson where they're at. He already made a 55-yarder with ease in the first half. I honestly was terrified about Daniel Carlson, who had all those winning kicks. He did it in the fourth to last game against the Browns. He did it in the second to last game against the Colts. He did it in the last game against the Chargers. Many from long distance, 47, 48 yards out. He was just a big game kicker. I don't know if you remember opening night last year against the Ravens. He made a 55-yarder to force overtime in that game. People tend to forget that. I was terrified. I was like, the game was over after they recovered, after Morale, the tight end, recovered the fumble from Hunter Renfrow. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Zaven Collins actually made a play. And the Cardinals just a bad break, but we also have to talk about Hollywood Brown and AJ Green not catching the darn football. Also, Cliff Kingsbury, 4th and 1 from the Raiders, 38 in overtime. Their defensive line was gassed. Just do quarterback keeper Kyler Murray. There was no way they were going to hold Kyler Murray to any loss of yardage on that play. Get the sure first down, keep the chains moving. The Raiders' defense was gassed. To tell you the truth, between the delay of game on the 2-point conversion force overtime and also the 4th and 1 in overtime. Sorry to nitpick, but Cliff Kingsbury almost blew this game, this epic comeback that the Cardinals really collectively deserved to get because they, for everything that went right in the first half, wrong in the first half, everything had to go right in the second half in overtime. But a couple of baffling decisions by Cliff Kingsbury almost really blew the Cardinals' chance of winning this game. Lastly is the Raiders choked. They did. Derek Carr, after the Cardinals, people forget it was 23-7 in the fourth quarter, and the Raiders just made a 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 stop on some also baffling play calling by Cliff Kingsbury. The photographer having Zach Ertz run into him trying to catch the ball, that was actually kind of funny, but only because he was okay. But the Raiders choked. I mean, they had 3 incomplete passes. Derek Carr on the play before the Hunter Renfrow. Devontae Adams was open in the middle for a 20-yard game, which would have made a chip shot field goal. He threw it behind him, and Jalen Thompson almost picked it off. Derek Carr just fell apart. The Raiders' defense really just got gassed. I'm not going to blame the Raiders' defense. You really can't. Kyler Murray was just special and really wore their defense out. It really was. The Raiders' offense against a defense that was by far the worst in football through the first 1.5 games of the season just totally disappeared. They choked. They collapsed. And kudos to the Cardinals who made plays to win the game, Isaiah Simmons and then Johnny on the spot, Byron Murphy picking up the ball. As you were seeing that ball fumble around, thankfully, Byron Murphy picked it up with a running start. I would have just taken recovery the fumble, to be honest with you. And giving the Cardinals a chance, to get a couple first downs and Matt Prater to kick his game-winning field goal. But you know what? It was so dramatic the way the game ended, the way the game forced overtime. The last time honestly, off the top of my head, the last time that the Cardinals scored a touchdown to win or force overtime with zeros on the clock was 2003 when Josh McCown threw the ball to Nathan Poole to knock the Minnesota Vikings out of the playoffs. Remember the no by Paul Allen, the Vikings play-by-play guy. That's the last time, and that was 19 years ago. That's the last time I can remember the Cardinals scoring a touchdown of meaning like that with zeros on the clock. You can go onto YouTube. It does not happen very often. I would have to do some research. I don't know if it happened at all last season. It hasn't happened yet this season. That was just how epic that was, especially since the Raiders made kind of a 4-down stop if it wasn't for the holding. And then also, A.J. Green dropped a couple passes to help that out. And then, of course, you had a 4th and goal with 5 seconds left. And Kyler Murray, the Raiders left the opening, and Kyler Murray just trotting into the end zone. I mean, this is why they paid him all the money. He doesn't even know how to read defenses, really. And think about if Kyler Murray can learn to read defenses, maybe put in the study time. He could be unstoppable. He could be, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, top of the game. That's what Kyler Murray's talent is and ability. But still, it's crazy how he just, street ball, he just makes things happen. So what does this mean moving forward? What does this mean? We're talking about just an incredible win by the Cardinals. What this means moving forward is that the season's not done. At 0-2, especially if they got steamboat raced by the Raiders and say the final score is 26-13 or something like that, which really what it was looking like to be early in the fourth quarter, maybe 26-13. The Raiders go down and kick a field goal, and the Cardinals score a garbage time touchdown to make the score not look so bad. But what this means moving forward is that the season's not over. Unfortunately, the most handsome man on the planet, shush over there, wifey, I don't want to hear it from you, is back behind center. Bad luck for Trey Lance. Really just a bad week for Trey Lance. Poor guy. Seems actually like a good kid. I don't really care that he was at the club making it rain. He's a young man. He has urges. He has things, he wants to go express himself. Let him do it as long as he's not interrupting the flow of the team. He didn't do anything illegal. I think that a little bit of an overreaction on social media, honestly, from that. But he gets hurt, and heck, yeah, Jimmy G was dating a porn star. People tend to forget that. People kind of swept that under the rug because who cares? Anyways, Jimmy G is now the man at San Francisco, and I'm going to say, I don't know, I'm about 450% more terrified of that team, to be honest with you, at this point. Also, the Rams. Did the Rams look great? I mean, the Rams almost blew a 28-3 lead to the Falcons, which would have been so funny. I'm sorry. That would have been pretty funny. The Seahawks are a bad team. Let's just say what it is. They might be the worst team in the league. The Cardinals should beat them both times they play them. The Seahawks really were outplayed by 20 against the Broncos in a weird game. and then got boat raced by the Niners. The only points the Seahawks even scored was on a blocked punt in that game. They could be 2-1 playing Atlanta this week. I mean, that game's a coin flip, but they'll be the worst 2-1 team we've seen in years. The Seahawks are not a good football team. So really, it's a 3-horse race as it is early in the year. You would say the Cardinals are the worst of the 3, but you know what? DeAndre Hopkins is coming back. Justin Pugh just came back. The offensive line actually played great yesterday. DeAndre Hopkins is coming back, in 5 weeks. At some point, Rondale Moore will come back. Even though really Greg Dortch has done just fine in the slot. So take your time coming back, Rondale Moore. We'll have to see how significant the injury is to James Conner. I'm going to look more into that. I'll probably discuss some of that tomorrow. But, they have depth. Benjamin and Darrell Williams are fine. They're not as good as James Conner. But that two-headed monster, forget Darrell Williams was kind of a little bit of a playmaker in Kansas City and made a huge impact receiving and running the football in that game in the second half. I'm not too concerned about the running back situation, even though I will say the Cardinals are a better team with James Conner in there. But the dude always gets hurt, so it's good to have a couple of other guys who are very capable. Benjamin, and yeah, we're not going to talk about Herm Edwards today. And Darrell Williams. A solid two-headed monster. The Cardinals are going to be fine offensively. Really, the thing is the defense. Moving forward, huge game against the Rams. I'm going to have to evaluate this. I cannot believe the Rams are a 4-point favorite. I think that line will drop to possibly 3 by kickoff, at least 3.5. I mean, that line is a big line. But again, the Cardinals have lost 6 in a row at home, so who knows? They haven't beat the Rams at home since 2014. Yes, 2014. The dreaded Carson Palmer torn ACL game. I know. Horror show. But Drew Stanton came in. I'm sure you remember that game. That was like one of the highlights, actually, if you can think of any moment in the Card season outside of the Super Bowl season, I know, and probably the 2015 had its moments. But the Cardinals at that moment in 2014, they didn't have the Carolina Panthers that were ahead of them in the standings all year. Cardinals were 9-1 after they beat Detroit the following week, and then collapsed. Obviously, we're talking about sad history. So this season, the NFC is wide open. Tom Brady looks 45 years old. Philadelphia looks like the best team in the NFC, but we don't know if their quarterback can even play from behind, and Jalen Hurts, even though, as I said, the Eagles look like the best team, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Packers are limited offensively. The Rams and the Niners have limitations. I mean, we'll see with Jimmy G. The Niners are kind of scary. What I'm saying is that the season's not over, Cards fans, and that was a huge win yesterday. And Kyler Murray could be, I said he was going to have a huge season. Remember, I picked the Cardinals to go to the NFC Championship game, and I believe that they can still do that. Now, we'll have the stench of Week 1 against the Chiefs forever, but the Chiefs could be a historically good team. Them and Buffalo are just, they're going to be 1 and 2 probably in my power rankings just about all season. Those are the 2 best teams in football. But you know what? Thank you. It was great to talk to you all. Please like and subscribe. We're going to have some great content this week with, obviously, the Cardinals playing the Rams. To tell you the truth, this is one of the biggest regular season games coming up in recent memory. I mean, this is a monster game. I'm not going to downplay it, how huge of a game this is for the Cardinals next week. They win, and then the Broncos actually, look like the team I thought they were going to be against the Niners on Sunday night and wins that game. I mean, that game, I know the public's going to fade San Francisco, keep pounding them just because the Broncos have looked so bad, but there's talent on that team.